This climber was posting on Instagram as he climbed the 60+ stories of the Salesforce Tower. He has a political agenda. He says he's climbing skyscrapers with a message.
He's originally from here in Metro Detroit. In the last week alone, he scaled skyscrapers in New York, San Francisco, then the Rensen behind me. He says he is doing it all to protest abortion rights.
And no word yet on what charges the climber may be facing for climbing the sphere today. We'll keep you posted as we hear more from police.
So I grew up in Michigan. The town's called Heartland. So I tell people, yeah, I'm from the Heartland. Never in my life did I ever think that I would move away from this tiny little farm town. But one day, my uncle, who lives in LA, offered my dad a job. So he took the job, and my parents moved our entire family, me being their little redneck kid, out to LA. When I turned 18, I wanted to get out of LA as fast as possible. And on the last day of school, I threw everything in my car, skipped my high school graduation, and I drove up to Yosemite. And that was where I really started rock climbing. For people who don't know what Yosemite is like, the only way I can describe it is that it's like Never Land, this magical place of fairies and dragons, and it's a place built for climbers and for adventure. And what better adventure to have than climbing a mountain? So my first year there, I worked for the park, but by the second year, I didn't want to work anymore. I just wanted to rock climb. So I saved up a little bit of money, and I went up there and slept in the boulders every day and just climbed as much as I can. I started to climb with the professionals. My dear friend, Brad Gobright, he was one of the best free soloists of all time. To a young climber, you look up at these professionals and you think that they're these immortal characters, these superheroes. But watching Brad fail, it showed me that no, like, this man's human, and if I want to do the things he's doing, then I can. You just have to have the courage and the discipline. You need courage to climb that mountain. You need courage to start up the mountain, but let alone finish. You're constantly faced with risk assessments, and you have to decide what kind of climber you are. Are you the kind that gets to the top, or are you the kind of man who cowers? And I think that as far as where my courage comes from, I think climbing taught me how to be courageous, and I say that the Bible taught me what to be courageous for. So I had posted something online. I had said that my body, my choice is a terrible argument. And I remember very distinctly that I had said nothing at all about abortion. I had just criticized this terrible argument. And oh boy, did I get attacked. I had death threats. I had all these people like sending me mean messages. But at that point, I was always pro-life, but it had been sort of solidified. Yet at the same time, other than saying an occasional thing online, I wasn't doing anything about it. And that was until one day in 2022. And I remember it. I was sitting at home on my phone on Instagram, just scrolling, doom scrolling as they call it, and this photo popped up on my feed. And it was a photo of a baby. This baby was different though. She sat in a Ziploc container with a smashed skull and one eye left open. And I knew what it was right away. Like there's no hiding what it was. When you see a dead baby, you know it's a dead baby, and there's only one way a baby like that could have been killed in that manner. It was by abortion. So I wanted to know more about it. I went online, I researched who this baby was, and I discovered the Justice for the Five.
This is happening down your street. Everything that we've been talking about is real. Please end this.
So here I was, a poor college rock climber, no money, no influence. What can I do to save these babies? I knew I needed to do something radical. I ended up stealing an idea from my dear friend Alain Robert. He's known as the French Spider-Man. All throughout the 90s and the early 2000s, climbed skyscrapers all over the world. And occasionally he'd pick a political cause and he would climb these buildings and protest. So here I am thinking to myself, well, maybe this is how I get the word out. Maybe I can create all this news attention and expose what this Dr. Cesare Santangelo in Washington, D.C. did to these children. And if I raise money to help these women, maybe I can save some babies as well. So I got right to work. The Salesforce Tower, it was the building I had picked out, right? And it was a new building. It was built in 2018, and so no one had climbed it yet. And here is the tallest building in California that's unclimbed. I think I can do it. The morning I woke up to fly to San Francisco, I wake up, this notification came on my phone, and it said that the Dobbs draft was leaked.
An early draft of a coming Supreme Court decision leaked to the public late yesterday suggests that by this summer, a majority of the justices will overturn Roe versus Wade.
Couldn't have planned it, couldn't have known it was going to happen. It was purely divine providence. And I remember thinking to myself, this really feels like God is giving his blessing to me and is telling me to go. The building itself, it wasn't that hard. It was well within my means, and I had trained so hard to climb it. I was climbing V10 in the gym in like a try or two. Probably the strongest I'd ever been. But my biggest fear when I started doing this, it was not climbing the skyscrapers. It was getting arrested.
Now, public demonstrations on all sides of the abortion issue are happening across the Bay Area.
One of them was earlier today. We brought you this breaking news at midday. A man climbed the Salesforce Tower in San Francisco. He made it to the top of the 61-story building. When he got there, police were waiting for him. He said he scaled the building to bring attention to the issue.
So I had gotten arrested in San Francisco. They let me out, and we bought plane tickets to New York, and we flew to New York City, and I climbed the New York Times building just as Alain had done in 2008. And when Alain climbed it, he hung this banner, and it said, "Climate change kills more than 9/11 every week." And so I made my banner say, "Abortion kills more than 9/11 every week."
Self-proclaimed Spider-Man scaled the 721-foot New York Times building this morning and then hung 2 anti-abortion banners. That building is 52 stories high. This is video from the Instagram page of that climber, Mason DeChamps. One banner reads, "Abortion kills more than 9/11 every week." Another has an image of a fetus and calling out a specific doctor whom it accuses of having killed this baby. Once DeChamps reached the top, it's believed he climbed all the way down the stairs. Right now, there's no word whether he was arrested.
People don't really look up in New York, especially in the morning. So I got to the top of the New York Times building, and there was nobody waiting for me at the top. There's no police officers, no security guards. I was kind of flabbergasted, and I didn't really know what to do. So I thought to myself, well, I guess I just let myself out then. It's a lot easier when they let you down the elevator, let me tell you. The stairs thing is hard. Walked right out the door, straight back to my hotel room. And immediately when I got back to the hotel, I bought another plane ticket to Detroit, my hometown, and found a place to stay and started planning the climb to climb the Renaissance Center.
In the last week alone, he scaled skyscrapers in New York, San Francisco, then the Rensen behind me. He says he is doing it all to protest abortion rights.
I planned to climb the Devon Tower and raise money for a woman who Let Them Live was trained to help.
Rest in no hands. Pretty mellow. Only thing is my feet hurt a little bit.
Oklahomans holding their collective breath as a 23-year-old began climbing the state's tallest building, the Devon Tower, without any kind of safety harness.
And within seconds of scaling the 50-story skyscraper, he was taken into custody.
I was in there for a total of 6 hours before they let me go, and spent the entire time preaching. When I got out of jail, I was sitting in bed when I got a call from Nathan Burning, the CEO of Let Them Live, and said, "Mason, you are never going to believe this, but a woman just called in to Let Them Live and said that her boyfriend met you in Oklahoma County Jail and they want to cancel their abortion."
Mason has a really amazing update for you.
We saved the baby.
Woohoo! Let Them Live and Mason played a vital role in the survival of what you just saw, a human being that deserves life.
Praise God.
Praise God.
To be good at rock climbing, you have to climb every day. But to be a major part of the pro-life movement, to play a role in it, you have to travel, and that makes training really hard. If I take 2 days off of rock climbing, when I get back in the gym or if I go to the mountains, I can feel that I am out of shape. But here I am taking weeks off at a time, trying to get my strength back.
How much could you spend on climbing gear?
I probably have like $10,000 in climbing gear.
Yeah, it's an expensive hobby.
Very expensive.
They make these in vegan now, and I don't like the vegan ones. This is one of the last pairs of the regular ones. I was climbing one day in the gym when I heard a big pop. And I finished the route I was climbing, and then I got down and my arm was pulsing. And I had snapped a tendon in my arm. And I remember thinking, oh crap. I needed to keep going, but I couldn't pull. And I needed to find a building that didn't require me to pull. And that building was the Chase Tower. The Chase Tower is a shaft in between a doorway that I could use this technique called stemming, where you hold your arms out and create counter pressure to shimmy your way up this shaft. And I remember walking to the base of it thinking, this is gonna be easy. Boy, was I wrong. After about 100 feet, my shoulders were dead tired, my legs were gassed, my knees were shaking as I was climbing, but I kept going. About halfway up, all of the textured cement that was under my feet had busted loose, and I was hanging by my arms. And when you watch the video, you can't tell, but as a climber in that moment, I could tell. I had lost control for a second. I threw my feet back up and I climbed up to the rest point, and at the base of the building, we had one of the babies that I had saved there. Her name was baby Ayla. I saved her climbing the Devon Tower. I raised money for her mom. And when you hold a baby that you saved, that would not be on this earth if not for the works that Christ has inspired you to do, your life changes forever and you understand what is most important in life. So here I was, halfway up the building, debating, do I finish or do I try to go down? What do I do? I thought to myself, if I can save a baby just like Ayla, then all of this risk that I'm taking is worth it. So I kept climbing, and towards the top, my knees were shaking. It felt like my legs were jello, but I made it to the top, and we were able to save a lot of babies.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hold on, guys. You good? We're gonna stand up or?
No, sit down. No, you're good. You're good. You okay?
Yes, sir.
All right.
You're under arrest. Trespass.
The way climbing skyscrapers works is that in most states, there is no law against climbing a skyscraper. But with the Chase Tower, there was a fence around it. And in the state of Arizona, if you step over a fence, it bumps the charge up to second-degree trespassing. This was my very first criminal offense. I was going to have to serve 2 years probation, which basically means you avoid the state of Arizona and you're all good. But about a year went by and I climbed the Sphere in Las Vegas. So I thought it would be this really cool climb that would get a lot of news attention, and I was right. It did. But boy, when I got down and the police arrested me, I was not expecting what had happened.
We do want to go out to some breaking news that we continue to follow out of Las Vegas, where just moments ago, a man was arrested for scaling the Sphere.
This champ's now facing charges of destroying property and conspiracy to destroy personal property.
They detained me for over 4.5 hours. They didn't tell me what crime I committed. Within an hour of detaining someone, you have to tell them what crime they committed. They refused to tell me because they didn't know. Because, again, I didn't commit a crime.
In regards to the Sphere, that individual will be arrested when we get him down. It does not seem to be a Homeland Security issue at this point.
He had declared that I would be arrested. He didn't know what for, but I was going to be arrested. So they're asking the security guards, okay, what crime did he commit? Did he break anything? Tell me he broke something. He had to have broke something, right? They're egging on the security guards, and a liberal security guard who later went on my Instagram and cursed God had told them that I broke over $100,000 in lights.
The man who is accused of illegally climbing on top of the Sphere here in town caused $100,000 in damage, according to his arrest report.
I didn't break a single thing. But the police, they arrested me illegally on that charge. They arrested my friend AJ Hurley, his wife Lori, my drone pilot. They took one of my church friends to jail for 6 hours for handing out pamphlets. If my grandma was there, they would have arrested her for handing out cookies. They wanted to get me by any means necessary. So they charged me with felony destruction of property and felony conspiracy. Well, when the prosecutors in Arizona saw that, they decided to revoke my plea deal and sentenced me to jail time. The prosecutor was very overzealous. I don't know why he had a change of heart. He had told us, like, you're gonna go away for a long time. But thankfully, I ended up being sentenced to only 6 days in jail with a year probation and 25 more days if I violate probation, which is kind of the hard thing because part of the terms of my probation is that I'm not allowed to climb skyscrapers anywhere. So we'll see how that goes. I don't know.
Woo! We made it! How do you feel?
I feel like I need a shower, a shave. Yeah.
Did you get beat up at all?
No, I was beating people up.
Oh my gosh.
We should have got handcuffs for Spider-Man.
Oh my god.
Woohoo!
People that want to support you, that want to do what you want to do, and have them all show up in front of the abortion mill every day. Have a different group come every day. And if you do that every single day, then you'll change lives. You'll save lives. So you don't have to break the law in order to save lives.
I don't think it's going to end abortion. You'll save babies, but I don't think it's going to end abortion.
Well, if all I can do is save babies, it's not necessary.
I want to end abortion. I want to abolish it. And I think it's going to take a righteous revolution of some kind. And we have to look at the ones that have come before us. The founding fathers, the civil rights movement, right? Like the founding fathers, they said, join or die. Very clear, radical rhetoric. They called King George a tyrant. They had gone and they dumped the tea in the harbor, right? The civil rights movement, they called Jim Crow laws evil. It's an abomination, right? And they did sit-ins and they got arrested. Our King of Kings, Jesus Christ, he was sentenced to death for
innocence. So me being in jail, I don't feel like I have as much to complain about. And the thing that really gets me through it is that I know that one day when I get to heaven, that we will sit at a table of saints, and they're going to be the babies there that we have saved. The babies that didn't make it and the ones that we saved, and we're going to have a party. All over the country, and even here in Arizona, the abortion industry is proposing ballot initiatives that will legalize abortion until the day of birth. What's going on, man?
Abortion on the voting ballot?
Abortion on the voting ballot?
Yeah.
No. Have you seen what that is?
Yeah, I have it right here.
No, do you know what it says?
Yeah, I read it right here.
It is going to legalize abortion until the day of birth, man. Do you know that?
No, it actually says fetal viability.
No, it means the day of birth, though. You want to read it? The abortion industry has millions and millions of dollars. They are out raising the pro-life movement 10 times, if not twice that. That's a human baby that you're like standing up to like kill.
I'm actually not pushing any agenda. I'm just collecting signatures. Do you want to sign this to vote against it?
Is that to vote against it?
If you want to vote against it, you can, but this is just to put it on the voting ballot.
I mean, I don't live here, but dude, like, that is evil, man. It's like murdering children.
I don't agree with that.
You don't agree with that? Then why are you helping them?
Because I'm doing my job. I get paid a lot.
So, what can pro-lifers do? And my favorite quote is from Samuel Adams. He said, "It does not take a majority to prevail. It takes a small, tireless, and irate minority to set brush fires onto the minds of men." And my prayer is that people are not discouraged by what I do. They don't think it's too crazy, but they find what they can do. Whether it's standing in front of an abortion clinic with a sign, talking to women, pressuring their politicians, yelling at them if they have to, saying, "I will not allow you to murder children in my country." I hope that people are inspired to do that because, you know, if they want to arrest us, if they want to persecute us, we have to look at the Bible, and it says that though we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, we shall fear no evil because thou art is with us. In that jail cell, it is not the valley of the shadow of death, but we have to have the same courage there as if it was, because if we can't stand up today, if we can't be courageous today, how do we know that we're going to have the strength to do it tomorrow? And one day we are all going to die, and we will stand before God, and He will ask us, "What did you do to save my children?" And I hope that we all have an answer.
There are countless children that are alive today, little babies that are running around because that kid climbed a silly little building and risked his life.